In the architecture of the modern mind, death is a room we keep permanently locked. It is a design flaw, a medical failure, a technical problem to be solved by the relentless march of progress. We speak of it in hushed tones, using euphemism of passing on and losing battles as if it were an unavoidable outcome in a war we are destined to one day win. We have become experts at denial, convinced that with enough productivity, enough distraction, enough striving, we can keep the abyss at bay. But this was not always so. There was a time when death was not a stranger, but a constant, ever present companion. A time when life itself was so fragile, so fleeting, that to ignore its end was the ultimate act of foolishness. This grim reality, born of famine, war, and plague, gave rise to one of the most haunting, psychologically profound motifs in Western art, the Danse Macabre, or the Dance of Death. At first glance, these images seem morbid, a relic of a superstitious and fearful age, but to dismiss them as such is to miss their profound and liberating message. The Dance of Death is not a meditation on dying, it is a powerful lesson on living. It is a memento mori, remember that you must die, an invitation not to despair but to awaken. Today, we will unlock that forbidden room. We will join this skeletal procession and ask what it can teach us. Not about the end of life, but about the art of living it. We will explore how, in the face of the ultimate abyss, humanity discovered a reason not just to weep, but to laugh. The Danse Macabre erupted into the European consciousness in the late Middle Ages, a period haunted by the shadow of the Black Death, a plague that wiped out a staggering portion of the population with brutal impartiality. It showed how paper-thin the Babel of civilization truly was. In this climate, that was the great equalizer. It did not care for your title, your wealth, or your pity. It came for everyone. This is the first and most stark lesson of the dance. In these images, we see a living skeleton, the grinning personification of death itself, leading people from all walks of life in one great chain towards the grave. The Pope is there, his authority rendered meaningless. The King is there, his crown offering no protection. They are joined by the clergy, the peasant, the merchant, the beautiful maiden, and the innocent child. In death's cold embrace, all worldly distinctions dissolve. It strips away power, wealth, and status as if they were nothing more than a cheap costumes in a play that has reached its final act. William Shakespeare, with his unparalleled insight into the human condition, captured this very idea. In Richard II, he writes of the king, "For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king, keeps death his court, and there the antic sits, scoffing at his state and grim at his pomp." Here, death is an antic, a court fool, a jester who sits within the very symbol of power and mocks it. He allows the king a brief moment to monarchize, be feared and killed with looks, only to come at last with a little pin and bore through his castle wall. And then, farewell king. Psychologically, what death bores through is the personal, the social mask we construct for the world. We build our identities on our professions, our families, our achievements, the roles we play. We convince ourselves and others that this mask is who we truly are. The dance of death is a shattering of this illusion. It forces us to confront the terrifying question: if you are not your job, not your wealth, not your status, then who are you? The terror of death is not merely the fear of biological cessation. It is the existential dread of facing the end and realizing one has never truly lived. In her work with the terminally ill, the palliative care nurse Bronnie Ware recorded the most common regrets of the dying. The number one regret was not of things done, but of things left undone. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. The dance of death is a preemptive strike against this ultimate sorrow. It grabs us by the shoulders and says, "Remember, this dance is coming for you. Do not arrive at its beginning with the regret of a life unlived." And yet, there is something more to this dance than a grim warning. The closer at the central figure, Death is not a merely grim reaper. He is active, energetic, often depicted playing an instrument, dancing with a joyful, almost manically. The skulls that monks once kept in their cells to remind them of mortality carry this same ambiguity. Though we see them as a grim, a skull can also appear to be grinning. It is also the remains of a human being, a single bone, and it loves. What is the source of this laughter? It is the laughter of one who sees the whole cosmic joke. The Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard touched upon this when he wrote of the absurdity of being a businessman in the world. He says, "So when, at the crucial moment, I see a fly settle on such businessman's nose, or a tile falls from the roof and strikes him dead, I laugh from the bottom of my heart, and who could help laughing, for what do they achieve, these busy butchers?" Death's laughter is Kierkegaard's laughter. It is a laugh that erupts at the sight of humanity, caught in its frantic, self-important pursuits, utterly oblivious to the grand, tragicomic reality of its situation. We convince ourselves that our daily anxieties, our career ambitions, our chase for money and prestige are matters of grave importance. Death knows better. It sees our serious endeavors as a child's game played with deadly earnestness. A random event, a failing roof tile, can end it all, proving that all our rushing was for nothing. This dark humor is beautifully captured in the ancient Mesopotamian tale, retold by Somerset Maugham as Appointment in Samara. A servant in Baghdad is jostled in the marketplace and sees that it is death. Death makes what the servant perceives as a threatening gesture. Terrified, the servant borrows his master's horse and flees to the distant city of Samara, where he believes he will be safe. Later, the master confronts Death and asks why she threatened his servant. Death replies that was not a threatening gesture. It was only a start of surprise. I was astonished to see him in Baghdad, for I have an appointment with him tonight in Samara. The story is a masterpiece of tragic irony. In his desperate attempt to escape his fate, the servant ensures it. The lesson is profound. By wasting our precious time and energy trying to avoid death, we ultimately fail to truly live. The philosopher who has learned to die, as Montaigne wrote, has unlearned how to be slave. By confronting our mortality, we are liberated from the fear that makes us waste our lives in the trivial. In the great chain of the Danse Macabre, all the victims tremble with fear. All that is, except one. One figure joins the dance not with terror, but with a smile, laughing at the absurdity of it all. This is the fool. The fool's unique relationship with death is the key to unlocking the deepest wisdom of this motive. He is the only one who is not surprised by death's arrival, because he has never been fooled by life's illusion in the first place. He sees that the world is a theater, that people live only to make money, that they buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. That friendship is a currency and love is a contract. Seeing all this, how hollow and absurd it truly is, the fool cannot help but to laugh. He laughs at how seriously we take ourselves, for in the end, as the saying goes, no one gets out alive. His laughter becomes more than an expression of happiness. It is a way to cope with, and even transcend suffering. As Nietzsche wrote, "Perhaps I know best why man is the only animal that laughs. He alone suffers so excruciatingly that he was compelled to invent laughter." The artist Hans Holbein the Younger reimagined the dance of death in a series of famous woodcuts. In his vision, death no longer leads a great chain, but comes for each person individually. In here, the fool holds a special place. In one image, Death approaches the fool and takes up his own instrument, the bagpipe. There is something in the fool that Death appears to admire, something he seeks to imitate. In another, even more telling image, Death himself wears the fool's costume. Complete with cup and bells, Death becomes the fool. This reveals a profound psychological truth. The fool and Death are two sides of the same coin. They are both outsiders, truth tellers who stand apart from society and expose its pretensions, just as the fool uses humor to speak truths no one else dares to utter. Death uses mortality to reveal the truth of our lives. They are alternately allies and enemies, their relationship a paradox. The fool embodies life in its most spontaneous, joyful form, yet he is the one who is most at home with its end. This is because the fool represents the union of opposites, life and death, wisdom and folly, joy and sorrow. He lives in a state of what the Hindus call lila, or divine play. He understands that existence is a game, and he does not take its rules with ultimate seriousness. This is the great cosmic joke, the first rule of the social game. It is serious. The standpoint of the fool, as Alan Watts put it, is that all social institutions are games, and that's why when people take their games seriously, the fool gets the giggles. So, what is the final lesson we take from this medieval dance? It is not to become morbidly obsessed with our end, it is to learn from the fool how to live, to recognize the wisdom that comes from admitting our own folly, to understand that what we most need is often hidden where we at least want to look, and to see what life is a mystery, a divine play, a great cosmic joke, and yet to play along and see the beauty in it. The fool dancing with death represents a radical acceptance of the present moment. A dance, like music or meditation, has no destination. It does not aim at a goal in time. It is done purely for its own sake. In the art of dancing, you are dancing to dance. This is Kenyan play, something done just for the joy of it. For too long, we have treated time as an enemy to be killed, or a resource to be wasted. We are trapped in a restless striving for progress, a race towards a future that never arrives, all while being haunted by a past we cannot change. The fool lives in the eternal now. He accepts reality as it is, rather than wishing it were different. The laughter of the fool in the face of the abyss is not the cynical laughter of nihilism. It is the joyous laughter of liberation. It is the laughter of one who has seen the grand illusion of the world and has chosen not to despair, but to dance, by embracing our mortality, by acknowledging the grinning skull that sits with us all. We are not diminished, we are set free, free to stop chasing shadows, free to live authentically, and free to join the fool in the one dance that truly matters.